You tried to change. You read the books. You made the plans. You told yourself, this time is different. And for a moment, it felt real. But then something strange happened. The more you tried to become better, the more you felt like you were performing, like you were wearing someone else's skin. Like the improved version of you was just a costume, and underneath it, the same person, unchanged, watching. You didn't fail because you weren't trying hard enough. You felt fake because your brain was doing exactly what it was designed to do, and no one told you that. Think back to the last time you tried to build a new habit. Maybe you started waking up early, or speaking more confidently in conversations, or approaching the world like someone grounded, calm, certain. And for a few days, it worked. But at some point, you caught yourself performing confidence instead of feeling it, mimicking discipline instead of living it. And that gap between who you were acting like and who you felt you were created a quiet, uncomfortable friction. Psychologists call this cognitive dissonance, but there's something deeper underneath it. Your brain has spent years, maybe decades, building a model of who you are. Psychologists call this your self-concept. It's not just what you think about yourself, it's the entire architecture of expectations, memories, habits, and emotional patterns that your brain uses to predict what you will do next. And here's what most people don't realize. Your brain doesn't just want you to survive, it wants you to be consistent, because consistency is predictable, and predictable is safe. So when you try to change, when you act outside that self-concept, your brain registers it as a threat. Not failure, not weakness, a threat. Here is what I need you to understand. The feeling of being fake is not evidence that you're a fraud. It is evidence that change is actually happening. That discomfort, that quiet voice saying this isn't really you, is not the sound of failure. It's the sound of your old identity losing its grip. You are not broken. You are between versions. And that in-between place, psychologists call it identity transition, is one of the most disorienting, necessary, and misunderstood spaces a person can occupy. The mistake isn't trying to change. The mistake is expecting it to feel natural before it's had time to become natural. Let's go deeper. Your brain has a structure called the default mode network. It activates when you're not focused on a task, when you're daydreaming, reflecting, remembering. And one of its primary functions is to maintain a coherent narrative of who you are. Think of it as an internal author, constantly writing and rewriting the story of you. When you behave in ways that contradict that story, when you act calm while the story says you're anxious, or act disciplined while the story says you're scattered, the default mode network notices, and it creates a sensation, a low hum of wrongness. This isn't really me. Neuroscientists call this self-discrepancy theory. When there's a gap between your actual self and your ideal self, the brain generates a quiet, persistent emotional signal, a kind of internal alarm that says something is out of alignment. Most people interpret that alarm as proof they're being fake, but it's not proof of deception, it's proof of distance, the distance between where you are and where you're going. And here's the crucial part. The brain reduces that distance not through willpower, but through repetition. Every time you act like the person you want to become, even while it feels uncomfortable, you are laying down a new neural pathway, a quiet revision to the story. The brain is not a fixed thing, it is a living document, and you are the editor. So, how do you move through this? Not around it, through it. When you feel fake, don't push past it. Pause and say, this is cognitive dissonance. My brain is noticing change. This is called affect labeling. Neuroscience research shows that naming an emotional state reduces its intensity in the amygdala. You are not suppressing the feeling, you are seeing it clearly. And then, act from identity, not outcome. Instead of saying, I want to be more disciplined, say, I am someone who shows up for themselves. When behavior is rooted in identity, even a fragile, forming one, it becomes more durable than motivation. Motivation runs out. Identity echoes. Then, expect the lag. There is always a delay between new behavior and a new feeling of self. Psychologists call this identity lag, the period where you act like the new version but don't yet feel like them. This lag is not a sign you're failing, it is a biological necessity. Neural pathways require repetition to solidify. The feeling comes after the behavior, not before. Next, reduce the contrast. One reason change feels fake is because we try to transform too dramatically, too fast. The brain adapts more smoothly when new behaviors feel like extensions of the self rather than replacements of it. You are not replacing who you are expanding what you're capable of. And finally, let witnesses help you. Our self-concept is partly constructed through how others see us. When people around you begin to respond to your changes, when they say you seem different in a quiet, noticing way, your brain begins to accept the update. You don't have to change alone. Let the people around you become mirrors for the person you're becoming. Here is the simplest way to hold all of this. Think of your identity not as a fixed photograph, but as a living portrait, one that is being painted continuously. Every brushstroke of new behavior adds to the image, even when it doesn't yet look like anything, even when it feels incoherent, unfinished, wrong. The painting doesn't look like itself until it's nearly done, and right now, you're mid-canvas. The discomfort you feel is not a sign you're doing it wrong, it is the texture of a painting in progress. You don't need to feel authentic to act authentically. That's what no one tells you. Authenticity, real, deep, lasting authenticity, is not a starting point, it's an arrival. And you arrive there by continuing to show up as the person you're choosing to become, even when it feels like a performance, especially then. Because somewhere behind all that discomfort, behind the voice that says, this isn't really you, there is a quieter voice, watching, noticing that you're still going, that you haven't stopped, that you keep choosing every day to be someone worth becoming. That voice is the real you, and it's not as far away as you think.